The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Right. Get yourselves together. Right. Stand up and live your life. Right. Get yourselves together. Right. Hands up high.
Welcome to the Rise Above Show. I am Joe Peroni.
And I'm Heidi Mancini. And we just want to take a minute to thank Vegas Meal Prep. Their phone number is, and I can't see it, 702-684-9286. If you need some custom meals made for your family, or if you just don't have time to cook or shop, call Marie and their website. You can go on their website, www.mealprepvegas.com, and you can look at her food choices and her price list that's there. And she'd be more than happy to cook and deliver your food to your home, so you have that convenience too. And also, we want to thank City Athletic Club for also partnering with the Rise Above Show.
Anybody else? Not yet.
Not yet. But yes, if you're looking to have us help you advertise a product, a service, that you have, we would love to partner with you also. You can message me on Facebook, or my cell is 702-278-6412. You can reach me on that, or you can write my email, which is Camillio, Camillio, the number 1, at iCloud.com, and we can talk about some packages that we offer. Thank you.
So today we want to talk about workplace harassment. And I meant to say it exactly like that, because everybody's saying sexual harassment, on the job. I want to have a full, open, honest discussion, because it's not always sex, right? But sex sells, so that's what we hear. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about power differential, because I really don't think it's not always about sex. It's mainly the power differential. And I also want to talk about the difference between flirting or hurting, right? Because that's the big thing we talked about this week.
I think sexual harassment comes under, it's almost like coercion or manipulation to do something in order to keep a job or keep a position or to do something. That's considered sexual harassment to, I think, the fullest. And then, of course, we talked about this, people are allowed to talk. People have opinions. People say things all the time. And we teach our children, don't always get hurt by everything everybody says to you. But if they start hitting you and they start striking you, then you can get hurt. So, if somebody says something to us that we may find a little sketchy or it's a little off color, sometimes we have to just say thank you and walk away, or, just kind of either accept it, because women, they like compliments, there's no doubt. I'm sure men do too. But I think it's come to a point now where there seems to be the line's blurred. Nobody knows the difference anymore between sexual harassment when it's used in a powerful way, where it's like, I'm the person in power, so you do as I ask you to do so that you can get what you want. And naturally, if the person isn't in the power seat in a normal day, they probably wouldn't get what they wanted. So the whole point is, if it was a normal businessman with not a lot of money and not a lot of opportunity, he was a normal guy off the street, chances are he wouldn't have the, audacity or the courage or the guts or whatever you want to call it to try to pursue some of these people. And what we're hearing now is in Hollywood, all these amazing Hollywood stars are coming forward and they're saying how they were sexually coerced into having sex to become famous. Well, they are famous. So, my statement to that is, you knew going into it, Hollywood, they're known for that. That's nothing, that goes way back to Marilyn Monroe days, back in the Kennedy days, way back, that if you want to, it's almost an unspoken language that if you want something in that environment, 90% of the times you're going to have to perform something. And let's face it, we're not stupid. When a man says to you, let's talk further about your career, and can you meet me at the Hyatt, blah, 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 at room, blah, blah, blah. you're not going to be going to a private room with a man to talk just business. There's an underlying thing there, and as women, we know that. There's a difference between asking a woman out, meet me at a coffee shop that's public, to meet me at my room or my hotel, that type of thing. And they're kind of martyrizing these women on the Time magazine cover this week, that they're legendary, that, that they spoke up after all these years. Well, here's the thing, when to me, courageous women or a courageous person would be the person that at the moment that they're being harassed, whether it be, sexually, coerced, your boss is saying, if you don't have sex with me, you won't get the position, or it could happen in other ways too, where, you're on the job and you already know that if you say too much, you're going to lose your position. So it doesn't always have to be like opposite sex harassment. Right. It could be same sex harassment. If the person's in a power position, they could say, I own this place, and you have if you have problems with things that are going on, what's your problem? And there's that underlying, well, I need my job, so I better be quiet. Those are the people that I would think would be more courageous. They're the ones that when the heat is on, they step forward and they say, I'm not going to do that to further my career, and they take the risk of being fired or ostracized on the job, whatever they have to go through to prove a point. And then maybe, the behavior on the other side of it, because, the other part of the thing that you and I talked about too is men, they get portrayed as these like pigs, and they're disgusting, and they're always after sex, and they're always whatever. Okay, genetically speaking, men's minds are wired a certain way. However, not all men act inappropriately. Not all men act sexist towards women. There's a lot of men out there that are respectable towards women. So we need to, put that out there too, that there are a lot of great guys out there, but unfortunately, the guys that do the harassment, the ones in the power seat, they're usually men with money, because that's all the collateral they have, because most times they're not attractive, or they don't really have much more to offer than their money. So that's their collateral. It's the same thing on the other side of it with a woman that is very attractive and has, physical attributes. She might not have too much upstairs, but for some men, she offers, the candy, the arm candy, whatever, he needs to have. So in that situation, it seems like in order for that behavior to be minimized and what's appropriate and what's respectful, because it comes down to us as people, don't genderize people so much to say men are this way, women are that way, because women can equally be inappropriate in the way that they talk. Women talk very inappropriately at times. They dress very inappropriately at times, and the other thing is they know when they have a certain type of apparel on, they know they're going to get attention. We know this is women. I know this. I'm a woman. I think I'm an attractive one. But as you can see, what I have on right now, and I'll stand up and point this out. This is how I go to the salon. This is how I go to the gym. But if I wanted to sexualize myself and really get more attention, I could zip this down a little bit more. I could wear, my Victoria push-up bra and double that. And depending on what my agenda would be determined on what kind of attention and what kind of man I get, talking to me. So when I hear women in the gym, in the salon, saying men are pigs and men are dogs, no, men are men, and we're women, and we have to stop the whole thing of, because women talk just as selectively about men. When we get together, they'll say things about a man's height. They'll say things about his genitalia. I wonder how big his thing is. And
talk about that?
And women do. But then they walk around and they get all offended.
What do you say about me?
No, but then they get offended by sometimes the way men can say things out loud. And I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just saying that if something serves you at the moment, and these women that are stepping forward, by the way, they're in Hollywood. They were in positions of, they slept with producers. They slept their way into their positions. They are very famous women. They became famous with their movie careers or whatever they did. So going into that arrangement, they knew what they were getting into. And it doesn't make sense to me to 20 years later to bring it back out in the forefront. You would have been more courageous, and maybe less women would have been harassed for all these years if a few women would have stood up at the time it was happening and said, you know what, this is going on and I don't like it, it doesn't feel good, I'm going to sue this company. It would have maybe saved other women from going through the same abuses. Or not. John's going to say something.
You know I've got to stick my 2 cents
Go,
in,
you
right?
Of course.
Okay. I want you to picture this scenario. You got a 27-year-old woman, single mom, 2 kids. Her boss is hitting on her. So what does she do? She say, fuck you, I'm out of here, I'm going to sue you, whatever. She loses her job. How does she feed her kids? How does she keep a roof over their head? So, in that respect...
I get it, but here's the other thing, John. We're gonna back that up before 2 kids. We're gonna back that whole thing up before 2 kids. First of all, things happen, mistakes happen, okay? One pregnancy, you could say, okay, you slipped up, you got caught. You got 2 kids. You have no husband, no father. The story goes way back to the beginning of that whole thing where
Her husband died.
Okay, her husband died. Okay, well, that's true.
And the reason that I'm bringing this up is that I know of 2 specific individuals here that in the last month, this conversation has come up quite often. So I know 2 women that have both admitted that they were sexually abused, and years ago, but they cannot, even to this day, 10, 12 years later, talk about it. So, it's easy
sexually
to say,
abused and how? Like they were sexually abused, like sexually what we're talking about
I do not know because they will not talk about it.
Okay, but here we'll back it up too with the sexual abuse thing. If more families and more people would speak up and could speak up and say, listen, my uncle touched me.
We do not give them a safe environment to do that. I mean, if you look at the news and what is happening to all of the women that have come forward, regardless of the reason or how long ago or whatever it is, look at what's happening to them. They are all being, and it's like, okay, look.
What's happening,
I'd rather
John?
just sit down, shut up, and keep my mouth shut because how many women get raped that never report it because they don't want to go through the shit in the courts?
Yeah, but John, it's the women that go out there that do these. Like, if we could just take Hollywood out of it, like just take them out, because you know what? They ruin the whole environment for legitimate business women. It's like my one client who's in her 80s. She worked on Wall Street, and she said, "Listen, Hollywood's Hollywood. They've been pulling those shenanigans since day one. You're a movie star. You're an actress. You're whatever you are.
Couch.
Okay, just go
Still
there,
exists.
do your thing, whatever it is. But please don't complain about it later, because the women like myself and other women. I never was on Wall Street, but I have owned my own business for the last 30 years. I have been hit on by bosses. I've been hit on by my bosses' buddy friends. I've refused them service. I've said, you know what, take care of your buddies because I'm not touching them. They're inappropriate. Thank God I had a boss at the time that was like, you're messing up my business. What are you doing? She's here to help me out. I had a male that backed me up and said, okay, they're inappropriate. This isn't going to happen. But it could have went the other way. And who knows? But I was married at the time. My situation would have been different. But I have to say, I've been self-employed, and I'm not a rich self-employed person. I've worked hard, but I've had opportunities that I could have, done something to compromise my morals or compromise my whatever you want to call it, and I chose not to. The point is they're trying to compare Hollywood women. All of a sudden, there are these martyrs that come forward. I was sexually abused. I was taken. No, you weren't.
But we all knew that.
Okay, but now, to be put on the cover of Time magazine, put the people on Time magazine, your corporate ladies. There's a lot of corporate ladies out there that there's a language in there. There's a boys club that we can talk about, that you're in an environment with a bunch of men doing the same job, and those men get jealous because why is this female here doing my job, making the same amount of money? She doesn't have the same genitalia, and what they do is they get together and they harass her until either she quits or she does do something and gets fired anyway. They see her as a threat.
Right.
So, I think they're blurring the two lines right now. They're crossing over. Like, what is true victimization and inappropriateness as far as on the workforce, in your job, sexual towards women? They're blurring the line so that the true people, the victims, the rape victims, these people that have been sexually abused, they come forward and nobody believes them or they don't want to talk to them because of this bullshit that's happening on Time magazine.
Right.
I look at those 4 women and the way they have them positioned on that picture too, they make them look like these saintly, and they're back, one of them's back like 25 years ago. It doesn't even know what she looks like now. The point is that they make them look like these pristine, professional women. And it's like, no. Like, can we not? You're portraying. They should actually have real professional women on there that have been thrown out of the workforce, and have them talk about the abuses that they took. There's a big difference between sexual abuse Do you see what I'm
saying? I
saying?
get that. No. I understand exactly what you're saying, but it's not all like that. The problem is not that that's happening. The problem is that we accept that it's happening. And you just said earlier, hey, we've all known that goes on in Hollywood for years, has for years and years and years. And we are basically saying, yeah, that's okay.
They're saying it's okay.
No, we are, as a society, as a people, we are saying it's okay. We accept it.
I never said that. I mean, I guess I get what you're saying, that society says it's okay. Publicly it's okay.
Right.
But why is it being public now that it's such an atrocity?
Because it's about fucking time. And that's what it all comes down to, is like everybody is saying, and especially when you look at what's going on in politics and all this shit, it's like people are starting to say, men and women.
It's inappropriate on both sides. If people would just look at people
listen.
as people.
It's at this particular time, both women and men are saying, hey, you know what? This is bullshit. We've had enough. It stops now. Regardless of how we got here, who caused us to get here, it's time to put this shit to a stop. This is what I'm taking away from all this shit that's going on. It's like, look, I kept this a secret for 20 years. You know what? Fuck that. I'm tired. This is it. You know who Terry Crews is, right?
You know, and okay, am I allowed to speak now? All right.
We'll give you a minute.
Yeah, because I got a ton of stuff
but
too.
I mean, Terry Crews,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
Who it is.
Yeah. Let me start it off with this, just in case, because the way I envision this whole subject and this show about what we're doing is, okay, so we're in a rowboat, right? And let's say I've got one oar, Heidi has the other, kind of thing. Or let's just say everybody. If we're going to try to fix the problem, we need to put everything together in the same way and push. Because if we only have one side going, we just go in a circle. Now, this is what I see. You mentioned Terry Crews. He's a man.
Yeah.
Okay, now on Time Magazine, they don't mention men. As a matter of fact, it's very anti-man. As a matter of fact, I like to think of myself as a very good man, and I'm a liberal Democrat. And I feel attacked because every time a woman, not every time, but many times when a situation happens, a lot of women get together, we push behind that, and I think I'm pushing with them. They turn around and look at somebody like me and go, you're the enemy because you're a man. So no, I don't agree with a lot of the conservative side. But you know what? I understand them. So that's what I'm trying to do, is try to see both sides, because if you don't have an equal push, and to be honest, nothing's going to happen. There's very few things in the world that are cut and dry. One of the things that is cut and dry is rape. We should all be able to admit that rape is wrong. Sexual abuse is wrong. Sexual harassment is wrong. But you know what? We're debating it because we're not debating it, I think, correctly. We're attacking really good people. And I am that, and probably you too. You're a white male being attacked because we're doing wrong things. And it's like, no, we're not. We need to have...
I don't feel like I'm being attacked.
No, but all men are not bad. And the point, what I tried to make before was this.
Like I'm being
the
attacked
guys
at
that
all.
are in the power seat, okay, the men or women, there's some women now. Women are making just as much money as men. When they're in the power seat, if that would stop itself if more people, when it was happening, women or men, because men get sexually, whatever you call it, coerced too. If they're a woman's harassed, they've been harassed too. So basically, to stop the person that's in control from being abusive, because it's abusive when you're trying to do your job and you've got a male or a female trying to coerce you sexually to do something to keep a position. That is where it starts. Okay, then you get the rest of it, that's just the trickle down, and people don't stop. It's no different than sexual abuse. When people are sexually abused. My daughter was sexually abused. I know a lot of people. I was raped when I was 15. I told people, but, you know, the point is that a lot of people don't tell people because the shame that's associated with it. And what do you think happens? The person that is doing the raping, the person that's doing the sexual inappropriateness, they continue to do what they do because they feel empowered. They feel like, who's going to stop me? And it goes all the way up to the corporate guy, corporate woman, all the way down to your everyday sex offender that says, you know what? I feel entitled because I can do whatever the hell I want because my victims will not tell on me. So it's a dysfunctional. The circle goes all the way around.
There's a lot of levels, right? And when we start mixing it up, we're like trying to jumble this whole thing together. Let's start with Time Magazine, for example. Are these people courageous for talking? Yes and no. Again, I'm not going to say 100% that they're not, because it takes a certain amount of courage to say something. There's no doubt about it. Are they helping people? If it helps people to talk more about it when having the conversation, I would say yes. But let's be totally honest. Okay, this is the full rowboat conversation, or if you were religious, you would say an equally yoked conversation. Let's move it forward. Mm-hmm. So let's do that. If you truly wanted to show true courage, you would go to a therapist and talk about the inner pain. You wouldn't try to get Instagram followers by putting it on Facebook, me too. I get it, but that's such a slim thing to do. Like when you are really and totally experiencing massive pain, you don't put it out on Facebook with a bunch of other people to get a bunch of likes. That's not really how you would heal your hurt. What you would do is you would really go to a therapist that can ask you the deep questions and make you face yourself so you can heal yourself. Because you will never be healed by getting 50 Facebook likes.
But back in the day, Joe, that was before social media came out. A lot of this stuff was years ago. Before,
I get
and now
that,
everybody's
but I get that. But what I'm
it.
saying is, it does not.
Okay, so
putting stuff out on
but
Facebook.
Think about what's happening. Okay, it took one person first to stand up and say, "Hey, this guy did this to me," and then somebody else says, "You know what? She had the courage to stand up. Okay, I'm going to tell her to, or tell my story too."
Right.
And that's what I mean, if you, and I hate to get this into the fucking political side of it, but if you look at what's going on in Alabama.
Right. Exactly right.
How is that even a fucking choice?
I'll tell you because,
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
We say this shit's okay.
I'll tell you why. Because, again, let's say I was sexually harassed, abused. I said this on the air. You don't come out with that without actually doing some deep work on yourself. A lot of these people are coming out now publicly for the first time. They supposedly have ever talked about it. It doesn't look sincere completely. Some of it does, some of it doesn't.
Okay, this is the question to ask yourself in that situation. What are they gaining by this?
It depends on who it is.
That's my point, and that's what I look at. What is this individual gaining by this?
You know,
if
again,
that individual has nothing to gain, then I believe them.
If
they're doing it because they're selling a story to Time Magazine, or they're getting paid for an interview on television. You know what I mean?
I do, but it's.
Do you know what's a perfect example? You've seen that little short clip on Facebook about the guy that stops along the highway and picks up that little wild bunny?
I saw that.
Okay, that guy, in my book, is a true hero. Do you know why?
Yeah, because he turned out any interviews.
He didn't do an interview. He didn't ask for any accolades. He just did the deed. And
but see, that's where you're agreeing with me, because my thing is, I mean, truthfully, like, if you're going through a massive pain, you don't go on Facebook and say, "Hey, guess what? Me too." It just doesn't seem right.
Maybe that is the first step.
Well, that's what I said too.
Because to do that, you're first admitting it to yourself. You're saying, "You know what? Okay, this is the first step." Yes, I understand.
Right, and that's what I said. Like, I agree with that. I can't say it's 100% bad. All I'm saying is we're so social media run right now that we're not really understanding. If we put it in context, well, we're doing things in such a fake way. We're not really getting to the heart of the matter. We're talking about people like Gretchen Carlson, who is so courageous, that just came out with a book, by the way, called Be Fierce. Be Fierce. She got paid $20 million to complain about Fox News, okay? Well, let's take her, for example. She worked for 10 years and made millions of dollars, and she was supposedly so taken back that the owner, or whoever, Roger Ailes of Fox, hit on her. I can agree with that. Let's say it. That was probably a terrible thing. She's never been hit on before. She was Miss America and all that. But let's just say this really took her back. You might say, okay, this hurt her to the core. What kind of a person, is she? Well, let's talk about it. She got paid millions of dollars to lie every day on Fox News. I know what kind of core she has. She got paid off to lie all the time and didn't blink one thing about it. So they already know she doesn't have a soul. So if a guy says, hey, you want to give me a little, which is out of line, but for her to complain like she's this angel of a human being all of a sudden, and she makes $20 million, and she's like the epitome of what it's to be a strong woman, that's not. I can't name names, and I got to be really... I got to figure out how to say it, because I can't say names and stuff like this. But let me tell you about a strong person I talked to this week. She has 2 kids. She barely has any money. She had to call the agency. She needed help, and I had to help her. I'm one of her therapists. She has a 9-year-old daughter, raped repeatedly by the father. The father's not in the picture anymore. How did this all come up here? 4 years ago, the mother felt there was something wrong. There was something physical she noticed. Confronted the father. The father didn't want to know from anything, and he left the family, kids and mother. That's a strong woman right there, because she did not have a job at the time, and she still faced that. So that is true sexual abuse. That is rape, that's torture, and that's a woman who's strong, who has no money and still confronts and does the right thing at the right time, and now is basically living off of, what do you get off of welfare, food stamps, $133 a month? Okay, so don't tell me about people making $20 million a year getting their face on Time magazine. There are thousands upon thousands and thousands of people who are very courageous in what they do, but we'll just never know their names. And that's what I'm getting at, is that the people that really are courageous are not hearing this message at all. Because we have too many Gretchen Carlsons in the world and whoever else that I can't even name right now. But the other thing is why guys, there's a little bit of a backlash. It's because of people like Terry Crews. He's a man, and he did come out with this story. You don't see his story out there on Time magazine, though. Oh, no. It's only about women, and it's about patriarchy and how bad men are. And that's where it gets, again, where even as a Democrat, it's hard to feel good about the way the Democrats move, because every move they make is about men hating. And I don't hate myself. Sorry.
All right,
I don't.
Let me ask you this question,
Yeah.
Joe. You've got a radio/TV show here.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. You're the owner.
So you do a show.
Yeah.
And you go back and you look at the views. How many people have watched that show?
Yeah.
And so some shows are good, some shows aren't quite so good. And so
Goes
you
back to
say,
fun.
okay, this show here got a lot of views. What did I do in that show? I'm going to do that again, or something similar.
Right.
Because you're doing it so that people will watch your show.
Right.
Magazines, newspapers, television, social media, they're doing the same damn thing.
I agree.
This is what people,
Yes.
This is what gets people's attention. And that goes back to what I was saying.
Yes.
We're the ones that are saying this is okay.
And I think the attention part of it is getting back to the education part of, we're not gender specified. Like, the whole equal bullshit is out the window. You know, first of all, you know, and this is going to sound like a sexist statement, women will never be equal to men because we can have babies. So right there, let's get that argument off of there. Women, I'm not saying we're...
Can you say that another way?
We're not superior to men. I'm not saying
no.
that. But I like being a
How
woman.
about this? Men are not equal to women because they can't have babies.
Thank you. Let's say it that way
That's
then.
what I'm saying.
Whichever
That's
way,
balance.
that's balance. Okay.
Right. There is
so,
a difference.
but teaching respect to teaching your kids respect, teaching adults respect for everybody, because the point is that if you're raising a daughter that grows up with this idea that men are pigs, men are rapists in waiting, whatever the saying is, you bring your daughter up with this idea that men can't be trusted, men are these evil creatures on the planet. If you bring a boy up that you treat them their mother disrespectfully, you don't teach your boy this is the proper way that you talk to a woman, or how you treat a woman, a girl, whatever it is, they don't learn boundaries. They don't learn what's maybe no means no. I mean, it always comes down to that basic thing. You can tease somebody and you could say, you're really cute. I want to go out with you. Back when we were in school, the boys always used to say stuff like, do you want to go for a piece of pizza with me? Or do you want to, and as a girl, you'd go, yeah, I want to go for a piece of pizza, but I hope he doesn't want to kiss me or anything. Because, you know what I mean? Your mind does kind of, but it's in a very innocent.
As a girl, why do you think the guy is asking you to go have a piece of pizza with him?
Because he likes me.
Right.
Right.
And if he likes you, what do you think he wants to do?
That's kiss you, hold your hand, do something. Yeah.
So you are the one that has all the power because you can stop it.
That's
right
the
there.
point. And the other point I wanted to make too is when you're pretty, when you're a pretty lady. Excuse me, Gretchen. What's her name?
Carlson.
Okay. All the beautiful women out there that know they're beautiful, all of them. I can say this that not everybody's born beautiful, whatever society considers beauty to be.
Well, they can't afford the makeup.
Or they can't afford the makeup. They can't afford the hair extensions. They can't afford the fake, whatever the heck's going on there. You have to expect that you're going to get looked at. You have to expect that you're going to get the cat call. You have to expect that women are going to be staring at you. Men are going to say things. It's all, I hate to say it, but it's kind of part of the territory. It's like if a good-looking guy walks in a room, it's the same thing. The guy that's like 6'2" or whatever he is, and dark-haired, that whole thing, a dark, tall, and handsome, whatever it is. You know darn well when a guy like that walks into a room, he gets noticed. And he's an idiot if he's going to sit there and say, oh my God, don't look at me. Ladies, don't say anything to me because you're going to offend me. When did we become so sensitive that we're offended by a compliment?
When we started paying attention to advertising.
I also think, though, it's just been a downhill thing, right? Like you've heard all our shows, right? You sit there and I've showed so many studies that keep showing that since about 1990 or so, we're so coddling people, we're so afraid of offending people or hurting their feelings. And once we start with that at like 5 years old, they become teenagers and they're unable to handle anything. Like it's this really odd thing. Like, since when is it a horrible thing to compliment a woman on her beauty? I don't know, but let me give you a little perspective on this, because people listening, right, we always have this thought about it's always the woman, always the woman. It's not about sex all the time. It can be, but not every indecent proposal is about sex. It could be about other things. But I tell you, there were times as working in New York City as a male model, okay, I'm straight. No, I'm just saying, like, here's the problem. You go and you do a photo shoot. Things seem good. I'm an easy to work with pretty guy. They tell me what to do, I do it. Not a problem. At the end of a session, somebody would say, hey, I got tickets to go to this play. Hey, you want to go get a couple of drinks with me? My answer is always the same. No. Okay, it's not abuse because nobody did anything wrong to me in a sense. But let's say that was my thing in life, that I really wanted to make it as a model. Oh, well, because I had a lot of modeling jobs, but you know what? I only had one each time with each photographer because they're all gay. Now, not every one is gay, but the ones that I dealt with were gay, right? Because you're a photographer.
He's a photographer.
We haven't worked together in that sense, but okay, but they were gay. Sorry. And I don't mean anything wrong about being gay. It's just I'm not. So when they would ask me out, I would say no. I never got a call back. Well, my magazines did okay. My, whatever, my calendars, they all sold well. Why didn't they call me back? Because do you understand how many male fitness models there are in New York City? Enough that they don't have to rape me or totally coerce me. All I have to do is wait for the next hour. And then somebody else comes in and says yes. Well, that's the ticket to ride. Sorry. I don't know how to fix it. It's wrong. But I don't know how you change that. And I can also tell you as a personal trainer, when I was like 20-something years ago, 1991-ish, I was just getting started. The problem is if you have a really good client that wants to come in 5 days a week, they take up most of your time, but they also give you most of your money. But if they don't come in, you basically lose all your money overnight. So you either live by the sword or you die by the sword. I'll give up a name, one of them. Okay, so Steve Wynn used to train with one of these girls at the gym that I remember. We were at the same gym. And she used to laugh at me all the time, like, you work too hard. Because he pays me for 6 hours, so I'm available for those 6 hours. So I get paid 6 hours, 5 days a week. I get paid 30 hours worth of work, and I only actually work for 4 hours a week. And I thought to myself, well, great. When he quits, you're going to lose your job. You have no money. That's what happened. So, like, she's out of business. And that's what happened a lot. In my situation, just getting started, my number one client would come in 5 days a week. She was a woman in her 30s, 37, 38. Whole thing with the marriage, you get what I'm talking about, 7-year itch. She sees a young guy. I'm a hairdresser. I own the salon. I'm off on Mondays. You want to meet? Do you want to meet? Not you. This is 1991. So, do you want to meet me? Do you want to meet me at Bally's? Okay, so here's the thing. Did she rape me? No. Is it sexual abuse? No. But you know what? We're back to the same thing again. My job's on the line, isn't it? So it doesn't only happen to women. So when they keep saying this over and over, there's people like me that go, if you want me on your side, you have to ask. And you have to stop calling me the rapist. It's pretty freaking simple. I have more stories about me on the other side than most women do.
Okay, but now...
Okay, so let me ask you this, or let me...
You're going to ask me if I went to Bally's.
No. That's none of my business. But where is that line? Okay?
I don't know. I've been struggling with that.
There's a woman that I'm interested in. So if I go up and say, hey, would you like to go out? And she goes, you're sexually harassing me, or you're harassing me, or whatever. I'm saying where, hey, you look really nice today. Would you like to go out for a drink after work or something like that?
I'm so glad you brought... I don't know. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is the conversation I want to have eventually, which is what we're doing right now. A equally yoked rowboat conversation, because that is the essence of our society. Men are the pursuers, yeah. Right? And not because we're just that way. We get socialized into it.
I love Sadie Hawkins Day. Yeah.
So did I, by the way. I did. It was like the one day I didn't have to be so shy and nervous. But, okay, so we're told since birth that we need to be the aggressor. We need to ask girls. And I don't have a problem with that. Most women, I think, that I've talked to will say, that's the ticket right there. If you don't have the spine and the guts to ask somebody, then I don't want to be with you, because you're not a person that I can trust when times are tough, right? You need to have some spine behind you. I'm trying to be nice here. Okay, so if that's true, then you have the man asking out a woman. Therein lies the problem. Is it okay to ask somebody out at work? And then the next position comes in. When do we see people? It's only at work, or only at the gym, or a bar. So we're back to square one. So I think what we can get to is where it's like the thing I wrote on my paper, like top. It's not sex, it's power differential. That's the words we have to remember. Power differential. Is it okay for a boss to ask out someone who's working? Now we got problems, because if the answer is no, your job's on the line. And you can't say yes, because you're in trouble there too. So I think that's where the trouble is. Like when a client asks me out, that's a problem for me, because how do you say no and then still keep them as a client without them hating you?
You say, I'm married, I have a girlfriend, I'm living with someone.
That's true. And depending on
right,
but it's on depending on where your power is. Like I said, when I was very young, it was okay. Oh God, should I be with this girl for a day and see if I can weasel out of it in a way that makes me seem like I don't have to do anything? Because she has like 75% of my money. I'm not going to make rent, So you're making a choice,
right? And you're saying,
yes,
it's okay if I do this.
Yes.
Then you can't complain about it.
That's exactly right.
Yes,
you cannot give your permission.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But and I love this conversation right now, because we're going. That is exactly what I'm talking about when somebody says, "Listen, I work for whoever. I don't even know the company, Miramax. There's a $300 million movie coming up, and I need an actress that I'm going to pay $25 million. The only thing you need to do is watch me take a shower." Right? That's what he said.
Well, I'd watch him for $25 million.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so that's the thing. So you can't be like Gwyneth Paltrow, who is marginal at best in terms of looks and being an actress. Let's be honest. There's thousands of people who are just as good or better. We can go to Broadway right now and find a ton of people that are
go out
starving.
on the Strip.
We can go to the Strip. We can go right here, okay? Like, it's not, seriously. But you can't, after a 20-year career, turn around and go, oh my God, I was raped, I was this. Listen, you were offered something for something else. You made that decision, and you took it. And they live a great lifestyle because of it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not even saying, like, there's no way we can endorse saying that, listen, you need to give me sexual favors to get this job. You can't, I can never say that that's okay. But I do know that they made those decisions, and I don't know how to stop it. When it's dealing with millionaires, I kind of don't have as much empathy. The empathy I have is for workers.
In most cases, that is the only way that you're going to get to do what you want to do.
Agreed. With the very little experience I have in that realm, in terms of all that, I mean, I told you my Johnny Depp story and all that. It's not fair. But you're talking about
Life
such a
isn't fair.
Right, and it's such a high stratosphere. Like, if somebody told me right now, listen, Joe, I will give you $10 million if you do whatever. And I went to Heidi and I said, what do you think? I don't know. She might say yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the average guy lasts like 45
If I can have half, right?
Yeah, well, of course. But the average guy lasts 45 seconds in bed. Can you handle 45 seconds to get paid millions and millions of dollars? Let's be honest. And the thing is, if somebody said, I'll give you $10 million to sleep with, let's say, not Harvey Weinstein, Brad Pitt. Things change. It's not harassment anymore because you can't rape the willing now, right? So that's why it becomes this weird thing. I can tell you, like, again, not all these indecent proposals are sex. Like, for me, I'm a pretty boring guy. I remember having a regular job, you know.
Sometimes it'd say, hey, will you let me stand here while you stand up on the bed and pee?
Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. But okay, here's an example.
But when you ask get back to your lady friend, you just ask her out because women know we have this radar that
that was hypothetical.
Okay, but we already know. Like, there's the
I did.
creeper factor, and it's like Joe said, women and men both equally know. Like, he knew with those male photographers, he turned it down. And you know why? Because he's gay, and there was this creepy feeling
Not
he got.
me.
No, you're not gay. No, he's not gay.
I mean, I don't have any problems
but
with
these
it. I'm
guys
just
were
not.
gay, and the thing was that what broke the whole deal for him was he got a creepo feeling because this guy's gay, he's not gay. Deal's over. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with females. I had a guy the other day just say something to me. Was that sexual harassment? And I go, no, you're cool. You're okay. Because he was complimenting me. And then after he said it, he was like, oh my God, is that sexual harassment? I go, no, we're fine. Don't worry.
Well, there is a woman that I've been flirting with for the last couple of months, and she's very nice, and I see her quite often, half a dozen times.
But she may. But the whole point is she might say yes, she may say no. But she can't take that as sexual harassment. You know what's sexual harassment?
And what I'm saying is that because I didn't know and I had no way of telling, I couldn't see if she was wearing a ring or anything, and so I just asked her one day. I said, "Are you married?" And because we flirt back and forth.
I get that all the time.
And
Right.
she says,
You
"Yes, I
married?"
am." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well then, my apologies. I'll stop flirting with you." And she goes, "Oh no, don't. It's fun." So
There you
we
go.
both know that we're just having a little
Right.
fun, not nothing serious, not going to go anywhere. And but if I hadn't asked, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's a
still-
safe way if you don't know. Like, you
Yeah,
ask.
see,
if
I
somebody's
like where you're going with this too,
available,
and, and this is why I have a problem with Time Magazine. If we really sussed out this stuff, we're going to find out that a lot of these people had just basic stories of, I asked this person out, they said no, now I'm going to complain. And it's like, where is the difference, right? So you're flirting, harmless, not a big deal. It's difficult. Now we're trying to make it that every guy that's going to ask out a girl or make some type of proposition is some rapist in waiting. And that's where I have the problem. I think when we're all adults, I think it's very normal. I've had girls come over and touch me. It happens, not all the time, but it happens enough. They'll say something nice. I might say something nice back. I'm a little too shy to do that. Most of the time, 99% of the time, I don't. But it's being an adult. That's why I'm saying, if you really want to be courageous, if you think that somebody takes away your soul, like I've heard, my soul was taken away because he hit on me. Well, that you really need therapy. There's a real, if you want to be courageous, you need to ask yourself why another human being who finds you attractive is taking away your soul. Like that's weird language. Or when you say, I need to empower myself, you're always empowered. He asked you out. That's power. Like, you really need help. I don't mean to be mean. I'm whatever took you to that level to start asking the question or to come forward, I'm glad. I'm not going to say that's bad, but we're so superficial today. That's a very decent start. But your friends going, yeah, you go, girl. I hate men too when they ask me out. That doesn't go anywhere. When it's at work, that is a harsh issue. That's very, very tough. I don't know how to get around that. But again, I've said indecent proposals, right? Like, okay, here's one. I don't go out and drink. I never do. I never have. I used to work at a sweater factory. Every Friday, we would, as the regular factory workers, the guys throwing all the boxes, would go out with management. And they thought it was a really good way to get everybody connected as a family. Well, it's true. I thought it was good, except I'm not going to happy hour on Fridays with them because I don't drink and I don't really want to be around girls who are drinking. I had a girlfriend. It's not the thing that I wanted to do. But when everybody was ready to get a raise here or there, do you think Joe Peroni was going to get a raise? No, because nobody knew who Joe was. He was the arrogant jerk who never was friends with us. He worked and then he went home. So it's not about girls just having sex. It's about guys not having sex too. And it's also about, do you play the game? You're at work. If I don't want to drink and go to happy hour with the people at my business, I'm not going to get raises. And by the way, I don't like golf either. So if you're a guy or a woman, I'm not really sure the woman's side in terms of business, I really don't. But if you don't play golf, you're screwed. Because you are not going to be out there for 6 hours playing buddies with the guys, taking out potential clients. You're not going to do it. So then you're going to complain and go, I was sexually harassed. No, you're not. It's a different type of harassment. But like I said, not all harassment is sexual. And we just want to
when you work like in a salon atmosphere, because in my profession, it's men and women, but most of the men are gay, and you do have some heterosexual men that work there, but there's totally difference working, having a male boss as your boss as to having a female when it comes to the environment.
Right.
And that's just my experience. The guy that I work for in New York, great guy, I mentored under him for years, but he liked to hire pretty women. He hired pretty men too. Like the males that worked in his salon, they were very good-looking men, gay, some of them. But he wasn't
stupid.
No,
he was attract the women.
He wanted to attract the women. He wanted his women to be attractive for his male clientele. So there was back then there was some sexual harassment that went on, and I think because I was so young then. Now I laugh it off. It doesn't affect things. It takes a lot to offend me now because I'm older. But when I was younger, yeah, it was kind of creepy to have a 50-year-old guy hitting on you when I was 23.
Okay, so what if you're 14 and there's a 32-year-old guy hitting on you?
Okay, now.
No, that's pedophilic. Okay.
Right.
That's like
right. Yeah. So no, there's differences.
So
like
you look at, and I don't care. I mean, women have a lot of experience by the time they're 20 years old, but still, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. You're still pretty innocent.
Yeah, no.
Joe and I've had this conversation about that, and I said there's one thing about when you can have a subject about this too, about why men go after these minor kids, these girls. Like, I don't get it. Why a grown
Again, men don't do that. Some sickos do.
Control and manipulate.
But here's the thing: when you get a 20-something-year-old girl that. And I'm not saying that she's right, I'm not saying she's wrong, but when you get a man that's in his 50s or 60s, 40s, whatever he is, over the age of 30, it's intimidating because in your 20s as a woman, I'm 52 now, so I'm not a 20-year-old anymore. I was married at 20 to an older gentleman. The fact of the matter is that there is some intimidation there and some control, and it's not until you become a little bit older and you start to go through stuff and you mature as a woman that you go, wait, this is not... But when you're young like that, it's because people say, well, how could she let him take advantage of her like that? That's abusive. When an older guy takes a 20-something-year-old or 19-year-old, that's abusive.
It's not man-woman. It's whoever holds the power, right?
Well, because women do it to young boys, too.
When I started as a trainer, all the women I trained were much older than me. So they had much more power than I did. and we don't have a lot of time, but I do want to mention this one part. We'll probably do a whole show about this part, but I just want to throw it out there just as, because John reminded me of it too. So in my preparation for this show, I thought, let me watch a good dating movie, right? So, because we're trying to figure out flirting.
I'm sorry, what, dating?
Dating movie,
okay.
Right? Like the best romantic comedy of all time. Mostly, I mean, listen, it's all up for debate. But let's take When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about a man who was in and out pursuing a woman for about 12 years. So when we have this thought about a no is a no, it's true. But you have to be decisive. Right, because women judge man based on a lot of it on your tenacity of asking and asking again. So it becomes this game that can become a little dangerous, let's say. Because even in When Harry Met Sally, which most people think is like this great, beautiful, romantic movie, and I like it, by the way, I love that movie. But let's be honest about what happened in that movie. It was about a 12-year back and forth romance. Of I don't really want to be with you, but I'm going to try harder, and I'm going to call you 100 times. That one scene was great. He called her like for days on end, time after time after time, being stalkerish. But she loved it because she was, being pursued.
Every step you take, every move you make,
I'll be watching.
I'm going to be watching you.
That's
you remember
stalkerish.
that?
That's a song.
That's a stalker.
But he did say so. He was. Yeah, that's exactly.
And so if you put it in a song, then it's okay.
Right,
But
yeah,
wait
then
a
it's
minute,
okay.
If a guy walked up to you and said that, you'd be going.
But
"Holy
it's
shit,
not a love
I need
song.
to
It's
get
about a psycho, right?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
So I know we don't have a lot of time, so let me
Go
zip
ahead.
through this. The other parts I noticed in this movie is that they had a little disagreement. She slaps him in front of a bunch of people. Okay, so there's the other part of the sexual harassment. She's being sexual harassed because he's asking her out on a date. She slaps him in the face. Who's the one who's being harassed? Socially, we look at it and go, oh God, I hope he tries again,
I would have
right?
punched her.
And the
I've always
big
wanted to do that. I always want to do a wind up one.
the big build-up, the conclusion to this movie, right before they got together, before they were going to get married, was this great scene. And he says, I love you. And she says, 3 times, I hate you, I hate you, and I hate you. And the next scene is they're getting married. Now, as a man and watching that, what's the message? It's romantic to keep trying, right? Like it becomes a little weird. Like, and as a woman watching that, you thought that was beautiful, and I'm like, it's a great movie. I get it, but we really have to have an adult conversation about what flirting is, and when you step over the line to hurt, and when somebody can draw the boundary and say, listen, I'm serious. I'm not interested. As opposed to, I'm really not that interested, but if you call me on Thursday, there's a difference. And you can't just complain about it 20 years later and then put yourself or get on Time magazine, right? By the way, about 52% of white women voted for the pussy grabber, Donald Trump. So when we really talk about this and we go, yeah, you go, girl.
That's why
yeah,
women shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Shut up, John. Some women.
So
That's not true.
Like they can jump up. It's like Gretchen Carl, whatever her name is. She's a Stanford grad. She's more liberal. She's been lying to herself and everybody for all
But as a
these
Stanford
years.
grad, you don't know the difference between a Starbucks and a hotel room?
Well,
Right?
listen-
Are you that stupid? I mean, come
That's
on.
yeah.
Jesus, Joe.
So we don't have much time. I'll let you finish up here, and then yeah.
To end up with the movie thing, the reason
Yeah.
that she hated him was because
Yeah,
she
explain.
was emotionally unavailable, and he bugged her for so long that he broke her down because she did not want to be in a relationship because she was emotionally unavailable. So that's why in the end she said, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, because he broke her down so that she actually opened up her heart to love. So that was how I took out
I'm
of
glad
the
we
movie.
talked about that. I didn't. Okay, so again, as a man, and John's over there as a man, we hear that. We're like, what a great thing that guy did. He knew inside his heart that she was just waiting to be opened up by the right person, so he was going to keep trying.
I don't think
and
he
it
knew
took
that.
12 years. Well, he did try. I mean, and
Yeah,
that's
but
why
you liked me and you kept chasing me around. So I think at some point,
But when is
you
it
know, a guy
harassment?
just when they want something. But there's a fine line, Joe, between okay, can you go have a coffee with me and inviting me out for a coffee, then to turn around and go. If I said to you, no, I don't really want to go tonight, and you said, oh, I'm never going to ask her out again. I couldn't go because I had a kid, right? And then you asked me
Wait.
again.
The key was, I can't go tonight.
Right, but if I said to him, listen, I don't want to go for a coffee with you, thank you. That means no. That means end. And where these guys get in trouble is they don't like the idea of being told no because they're in their ego, some of them, and then they get abusive. And they go, oh, you don't want to go out with me? Why? Aren't I good enough? Fuck you, you fucking...
No, and that's why we have the problem, because she just said no, but if I keep after her, she's eventually going to say yes and fall in love
maybe,
with
but
me.
maybe not.
But, right, and that's where the problem is
My
that...
feeling would have been, okay, nice
Right,
work.
and I do the same.
see you later.
But almost in every romantic comedy, it's all written the same, right? It's guy meets girl, then guy keeps trying to get the girl, then he does something stupid, and then he spends the rest of the movie groveling to try to get back in her good graces. So this has been in stone. This is what women actually enjoy. Don't take that the wrong way, sorry, sensitive people, but
women want to be desired. Women want to be desired. That's why in the bedroom, and a lot of times you hear marriage problems because women want to be chased. Women want to be desirable. So then when you're with somebody for a while and the woman does not feel desired anymore, which means she's being pursued, however that might be in the bedroom, let me take you to dinner, let's go for a walk. When a woman does not feel desired, that's the key right there. When a man chases a woman, she feels desirable. Men, on the other hand, want respect over love. So there's a big difference. It doesn't make it bad that women want to be desired. We want to be desired. We want to be desired at any age. So it's part of the game.
I think, and it's interesting you say that it's a game, but now we're talking about how men are rapists if they ask women out. I don't think they have the right to take both sides.
I don't think all women take both sides, Joe. I think it's some women take both sides because
that's true.
There's women out there that want to always fall into the victim mentality.
And some men are rapists.
And some men are rapists. And the problem is those are the voices that you hear. You hear the people that are the extreme,
and I agree,
one way or the other.
Okay, so let me change that. I don't mean to say all women. There are some, but what happens is that the ones who are acting like victims, their voices are so amplified. They're on Time magazine. Every time I turn on the news, there's another one. There's another guy getting in trouble for something. That's all they do is magnify it. And the honest truth is, even being a Democrat, Democrats are never going to win an election because on the other side, it's like all men, not all men, but a lot of the men on that side, conservative side, feel attacked. That's why you're seeing total loser pedophiles, like that guy from Alabama who just might win, not because they think he's a good guy.
Because they'd rather have a pedophile than a Democrat.
And yes, that's true.
And that's exactly what they said.
That's true.
I'd much rather vote for a pedophile than a Democrat.
Yeah, and listen, that's disgusting. You know how I feel about that.
Well,
but we're not helping the situation by, again, making men the enemy here. I think that trying somebody who is the head, like any type of superior at work, asking somebody out who's below them in rank, that's just got problems all over it. I don't know how to solve that. I don't know if you could make that a company policy. Maybe you could, maybe you can. I don't know. That's not my expertise. But that's where the problem is, right? It's the power differential.
It's the power differential no matter what. Because even if you're not the boss of somebody, if you feel that you're in a power position, there's men that don't have money that think that they have some kind of power because of whoever they think they are in their own whatever, and they harass women. I think it comes down to knowing, being respectful, and being accountable for your actions, whether you're the one on this side of it that's trying to be coercive or the other one on the receiving end of it. Be accountable for your actions. If you're going to say no, then you have to know the consequences of saying no, or the rewards, whatever it might be. The guy or the girl that's over here that's in the power seat, they need to know consequences too, that that's not appropriate behavior to try to coerce and intimidate somebody into bed with you in order to keep their job.
I agree, or anything, but it works both ways. How much time do we have?
You ran out of time 10 minutes ago.
Oh, we did?
It's called respect. It's just called, in our society, we've gotten so far, either we don't want to hear the victims over here at all, which the real victims are the ones that are sexually abused. Those are the real victims.
And the ones you don't hear about are the heroes.
Those are the ones
that stop along the side of the road, pick up the bunny, and walk off.
Those are the ones that we don't know about.
And that's what I was trying.
You don't hear about those. All you hear about are the other ones.
And that's getting out in the beginning.
Look at me, I want to be popular again. Yeah. You know what I find funny is all those women on Time magazine, they're old and nobody knows them anymore, so they're going to pull the little stunt now. Hey, I'm still here. Look, I was abused 20 years ago, but look at how rich I am. I'm so awesome. That's what I got to say to that. Are we still on
End
film?
on that note.
You want to end on that note? I'll give you stories if you want. How much?
Don't get me started. Anyway.
All right. You want to end on that?
End on it. What do you want to end on?
Okay.
John, do you have anything else to say, John?
I have a lot to
He
say,
has a
but I
lot
have a
to
lot
say.
to do too.
Okay. Okay.
All right, then. Thanks for watching. This has been the Rise Above Show.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.